Hey everyone, James Lynch here doing a quick reaction video to the news that Patchy Mix's May 2024 win over Magomed Magomedov has been overturned to a loss. This is a crazy story. Let's get into it right now. This according to Tapology. So Tapology is the main source, in my opinion, for fighter records, keeping track of things. So we're going to read the tweet thread they just announced about 14 minutes ago. Let's go through this whole thing. It says, we received notice this week of a failed drug test for athlete Patchy Mix related to his May 2024 Bellator fight against Magomed Magomedov in Paris. Mix originally won the fight via split decision. The Patchy Mix Magomed Magomedov bout is now listed on Tapology as having been overturned by the FMMAF, which I'm assuming the French commission, as a loss for Mix. However, for Tapology statistic purposes, the original result of the Mix win still stands and remains tally in the fighter win-loss totals. The new display can be seen on the relevant fighter bout in the event pages on Tapology in the following example screenshots. So yeah, really tough year for Patchy Mix. He loses to Mario Batista as a big favorite. He loses his next UFC fight. He's 0-2 in the UFC, and now he's going to have another loss in his record. I don't really understand. I mean, they explained the win and loss record, but I don't really understand why they can't just put it as a loss here. Does it? I guess it messes things up for what they're trying to do, but it's very interesting that this has happened, but a bit of a bombshell. Now, to be fair, we haven't heard anything from Patchy Mix. I don't know what the explanation would be on this. I don't think anything that he can say to this point people will take into consideration. I'm curious to see if his management comes out and says anything, but man, this has been a tough year for Patchy Mix. So, according to the FMMAF, Patchy Mix is actually 20-4 now, or sorry, 19-4 now. If we're going off the fact that it had been overturned to a loss by the FMMAF. We know what happened, obviously, going into the Mario Batista fight. Huge favorite, comes in, loses a decision in every facet of the fight. He was a big favorite. Actually, wasn't that big of a favorite, -190, but I really didn't see a lot of people picking Batista going into this fight. And it's interesting the time we're recording this as Batista's fighting this weekend. But yeah, and we know the response after Patchy Mix lost. Fans were all over him. This is going to only amplify things. Now people are going to say that he was on steroids his whole career. We should point out that Patchy Mix has not been busted by any sort of drug testing in the UFC. Hasn't been busted in Bellator. I don't know what type of drug program they had in Bellator. It was, let's be honest, it wasn't as strong as what they had in the UFC. So who knows? There's going to be a lot of question marks now on Patchy Mix's career going forward. I'm still of the belief that, when we watch Patchy Mix in Bellator, we saw a different fighter. We saw a better fighter, in my opinion. Some of those wins he got, the Rafael Stotts fight, Sergio Pettis, Magomed Magomedov, the first fight he had, very impressive. But that hasn't translated over to the UFC. So this is only going to give more fuel to the people that think that Bellator is not a good promotion and hasn't produced any good fighters. But we've got to remind people that Eddie Alvarez won a UFC title. Alexander Volkov came over from Bellator. These are, fighters that have had success in the UFC. But yeah, this is really tough for Patchy Mix because, again, even the last fight, people thought, okay, he was favored in that fight. He ends up losing a split decision. It was close, but -350 didn't look like it in this fight. Even if Patchy Mix had got the win in this fight, I did a video on this a couple months back, he still was going to get heavily criticized because this was a fight that many felt like he should have, bit easier matchmaking than fighting Mario Batista to a certain degree. So here we go. So Patchy Mix now, so he'll be, 19-3, I guess. I did my math wrong on that. Sorry, no, he'll be 19-4. Never mind, my math's right here. But yeah, it's just weird that, I'll have to talk to someone at Topology, but I don't know why they have his, so they have it as overturned to a loss, but they're not counting it as a loss. Does this screw up their database? I'm not sure. I guess they said the win-loss record. We'll have to get more clarification on that. But like I said, I'm just reacting to what's happened here, so to speak. But yeah, really tough year for Patchy Mix. So, if we go all the way back even to, the PFL, right? He had the Bellator Champion Series fight. He beat Magomed Magomedov. Actually, we have the second here. I believe, the media had that fight close. If we look on MMA decisions, I actually don't even think many people thought that that fight should have gone his way. It was close, right? Yeah, we actually had more of the media. There wasn't many media scoring it, but you look at the majority of the media, 3 media members scored the fight for Magomedov, 1 scored it for Mix. So that really changes things as far as how you look at Patchy Mix. And again, it just adds more to the year that he's had, which has just been really disappointing. So we'll see. Again, this won't have any relevance on the UFC, I don't think. I still maintain, we're talking about this in October. That fight against Jacob was earlier this month. I haven't heard anything about Patchy Mix being released. I don't think this will have any effect because this happened outside the UFC. But yeah, tough for what Pat, I was going to say legacy, but again, that's sort of been hurt since going over to the UFC. He was a Bellator champion, but now you wonder, you know, with this happening, it's no different than TJ Dillashaw. When TJ Dillashaw got busted, people were saying, hey, like, is this, you know, was he using his whole career? We had heard rumblings about that when he was at Team Alpha Male. Now there's going to be that question on Patchy Mix's entire career. And it's going to be way harder than it was before. I mean, he's still 32. Like, there is an opportunity for him to turn this around, but this is just going to add more fuel to the people that already didn't like Patchy Mix and sort of turned on him and everything, with everything that's happened in his UFC run this year. So again, it does count as a loss. He already did get the win over him. It would be great to see a trilogy between the two. I don't know if Magomedov will ever make his way over to the UFC, but certainly begs the question, like, was he using the entire time? Now, again, we should hear from Patchy Mix, get some sort of statement on this. It seems like this was swept under the rug because we didn't hear anything about it. It's just weird, though, that this is all coming out now. I'd like to know some sort of explanation behind that. They also added, there's a similar update has been made to the Bellator fight between Kevin Pesci versus Magomedov. Originally a win for Magomedov, has been overturned to a loss. So why is this coming out now? That's my question. This fight happened in May of 2024. It's October 2025. That would be a question I would want to know. So, yeah, they say for statistical purposes. Well, anyways, either way, I wanted to do this video just to point out that it does count as a loss. So this is, I don't ever remember them doing this for another fight or another fight. Why would the statistics matter? They should just, if anything, just erase the fight from his record. In terms of like I get that statistically he won the fight, but how can you count that as a win if, well, I mean, they're not counting it as a win, but why even factor that in the stats? They should almost just get rid of that because it's going to skew his record if they're keeping the stats in. I don't know who makes those decisions. There must be some good reasoning for this, but either way, Patchy Mix, yeah, he's lost a fight without even competing today. So it's one of those things, but I wonder if this is going to lead to other past Bellator fights maybe. Because it's weird that it happened in Paris, but yeah, we don't know what he's been busted for. Is there a legitimate excuse here? I don't know. I'm all about due process, so I would like to hear from him, like to hear a statement from him or his manager or something to get kind of an idea of what happened here. But again, his career takes another big hit here. And listen, like the people crapping on Mix, and I know people will in this video, I understand that. You know, we should want more blood in the bantamweight division, so to speak, to add some more intrigue to Merab. I mean, I think all the hype, everything's kind of lost with Patchy Mix now. There was a lot of excitement when Patchy Mix came over thinking, okay, maybe this is a different matchup for Merab as Merab continues his dominance. But I mean, this is completely out of the window. It would take some serious turnaround here for Patchy Mix to win people over at this point. But yeah, Patchy Mix 19-4 now, despite what it says here. You can see very clearly that it has been failing. He's failed a drug test, so that should count as a loss and should count as a win for Magomed Magomedov, and maybe that changes his career. I don't know. So it's a really tough thing there as well. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know what you're going to think. A lot of people are going to use this opportunity to trash him. I have to talk about it though, because this is something that is very big news as Patchy Mix continues to have a rough 2025. He'd be best to just turn the page, come back next year. I'm assuming the UFC is going to give him another fight, and let's go on the redemption story. But yeah, really disappointing to see this. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.